She tried to evict me from my own dock, so I bought the land under hers. Rhonda Stilton thought her clipboard gave her superpowers, until she met a deed older than her perm. She was so sure she was about to see me hauled off in handcuffs. Thought I was just some scruffy cabin guy squatting on community property. Bless her heart, she had no idea she was about to make the biggest mistake of her HOA career. Comment below if you've ever met a clipboard crusader with more bark than brain, and if you've ever been screamed at by someone in orthopedic wedges and a power blazer. This story's for you. It started like any classic Saturday at Willow Creek shores, with coffee, quiet, and a retired civil engineer minding his base rod. Then came the sound of doom. Heels stabbing gravel like they were trying to summon HOA demons. I looked up and there she was. Rhonda Stilton, part-time HOA president, full-time boundary violator. She marched toward my dock like she was collecting souls, waving a red clipboard like it was a medieval scroll. Sir, according to Resolution 9C, you are in violation of community dock access standards. I hadn't even reeled in my line yet and I was already being threatened with exile. Now I've seen some ambitious Karens in my day, but Rhonda was the Beyoncé of bylaws. She glared at my tackle box like it had declared independence. I took a sip of my coffee and replied as calmly as I could, I appreciate your enthusiasm, but I'll be staying right here. Her eyes twitched. You're trespassing on community property, and I will have you removed. Ma'am was ready to call in a SWAT team over a folding chair and a cooler full of bait. Meanwhile, I was thinking about whether I had enough cornmeal for a fish fry. She puffed up like a blowfish in a board meeting. I'm the president of this association, and I've read every word of the regulations. I almost asked her if those regulations were printed on the back of a cereal box. Instead, I reached over to the envelope my grandfather left me before he passed. For when someone gets no see. It read in his handwriting. Rhonda squinted at it like it was a bomb. You can't pull rank with me. Sir, I am the rank. That clipboard wasn't just a prop, it was her emotional support system. Then, right on cue, old Mr. Tomlin shuffled by. I have lived here for 40 years, nodded at me muttered, she's barkin', up the wrong dock, and kept walking like Rhonda wasn't melting down in 4K. She turned around flustered, then hissed back at me. I'm calling the police and you will be arrested. I smiled, tucked the envelope into my jacket and said, by all means. That's the thing about owning something. You don't have to shout. You just have to show up. The louder the clipboard, the thinner the evidence. She thought the cops would drag me out in cuffs. She didn't know they'd be the ones asking her for ID. Stick around, because when they showed up, Rhonda found out the law doesn't run on paper clips and drama. She showed up like the paper mafia, 2 legal pads, a fake citation book, and a folding chair. All she was missing was a megaphone and a foam finger that said, Phi 1 Tyrant. Rhonda Stilton stomped back onto my dock like she'd just been promoted to head warden of Willow Creek. In her arms, a packet so thick you'd think she was personally suing the concept of peace. You've been fined $2,000 for unauthorized dock use and violation of community tranquility. She barked like she was auditioning for Judge Judy's evil twin. I didn't flinch. I just sipped my coffee and asked, did you laminate that yourself? She slammed it onto my tackle box so hard it knocked over my bait tin. I am enforcing the rules, sir. This dock is for shared use. And you are obstructing nature. That last part made me laugh. Obstructing nature. I was literally holding a fishing pole and a ham sandwich. I told her I'd be forwarding her citations to my attorney for review. That's when her eyes bulged like she just swallowed a pine cone. Legal threats won't work on me, sir. Oh, but sweetie, this wasn't a threat. This was a 40-year-old deed signed with more authority than her entire HOA council could muster. That phrase, legal threats won't work on me, is HOA Karen code for, I googled one law and now I'm unhinged. She started pacing on the dock like she was coaching herself in a mirror. Have the right to remove unauthorized persons. We will escalate if necessary. This is your last warning. Meanwhile, 3 neighbors were watching from their porches like it was a Netflix drama. One of them actually popped popcorn. I stayed calm. I didn't even blink. Instead, I pulled out my grandfather's sealed envelope. The one labeled, use only when idiots try to steal your dock. I peeled it open, slow and deliberate, like a man revealing a royal flush. Inside, an original deed notarized and yellowed like fine whiskey. It spelled out exclusive riparian rights granted long before the HOA was even a twinkle in some board developer's eye. According to this, I said, holding it like a scroll of destiny, my family owns this lakefront outright, and the HOA has no jurisdiction within 50 feet of this shoreline. Rhonda's mouth opened and closed like a fish trying to recite the Constitution. That's not possible. I checked the records.
This area is?
ASO, protected,
She sputtered. But the silence from the neighbors said it all. You just got out papered by a Lakeside grandpa, me. Ma'am. Sometimes the strongest move is silence, followed by one very expensive signature. She didn't back down, she dialed up. Clipboard still smoking, Rhonda called for backup. But when the cops arrived, let's just say, it wasn't me they asked for ID. Stick around. Rhonda's about to get legally humbled in 3-what-2-0. If dialing 911 to enforce OA bylaws were a sport, Rhonda would have Olympic gold. She called the cops like she was ordering takeout one trespasser. Extra handcuffs, hold the truth. She whipped out her phone with the flair of someone reporting a UFO sighting. Yes, I need immediate assistance. Me. There's a dangerous man refusing to comply with Neighborhood Safety Ordinance 3B. That ordinance didn't exist, but bless her heart, she delivered it like it was the 10 Commandments. Me. She kept glaring at me like I was melting the HOA flag by existing in my own chair. 15 minutes later, 2 deputies roll up. One looked like he missed his nap. Me. The other had the energy of a man who's been yelled at by too many Karens before lunch. I waved politely, still holding my fishing rod like it was a peace treaty. Mornin', officers. Me. Beautiful day out. Rhonda interjected so hard she nearly broke gravity. Do not be fooled by his charm! He's a squatter on our precious shoreline! This is protected turf. The younger officer blinked twice like he needed a reboot. Mom, he asked me, do you have proof of this? Rhonda shoved her red clipboard in his face like it was sacred scripture. I have documentation. He is in violation of Serenity Zone law. I simply nodded and reached for the envelope again, my Excalibur of land ownership. Gentlemen, I said, unfolding it. This cabin has been in my family since Regan had brown hair. This deed predates the HOA by 3 decades. They read it. They walked the property lines. They checked the boundary marker that looked like it hadn't moved since Disco died. The older officer gave a slow, impressed whistle. Sir, he said, this checks out. You're on your own land. Rhonda's jaw dropped so hard I swear I heard her teeth hit the ground. That can't be right. I saw a YouTube video about land fraud, she shrieked. Mom, please sit down. This ain't YouTube. The cops weren't buying what she was selling. The younger one turned to her with a voice dipped in caffeine and disappointment. Mom, filing a false report wastes resources. You may think this is a civil issue, but you just accused a landowner of criminal trespass. Rhonda started to spiral like a drain unclogging itself. But, he's blocking the breeze with that awful dock umbrella. Her tone cracked like a nervous squirrel in court. The older officer, bless his professionalism, just handed her a card and said, if you call again without cause, we'll have to file a report on you. That one word, you, landed like a cold-grilled cheese. You can argue opinion, but you can't unsign a deed. She lost the battle, so naturally she took it to the one place even facts go to die, Facebook. Ever seen a 60-year-old go viral for a slander? Buckle up. Because Rhonda's about to keyboard, warrior her way into national humiliation, one Photoshop shrub at a time. Rhonda went full influencer, if influencers screamed into the void about moss and lawn symmetry. She hashtagged her meltdown like it was a conspiracy theory, cooking show Padak Squatter Legal Lakeside Looters Peko Hero. Her profile picture changed to a blurry American flag and a quote she probably thought Lincoln said. Next thing I know, there's a Facebook group called Protect Willow Creek, and I'm the villain, me. According to her page, I wasn't just a fisherman. I was a shoreline threat specialist with ties to underground dock syndicates. Bless her, she'd turned HOA drama into a Homeland episode. She posted a picture of my cabin, edited so badly it looked like Casper rented it out on weekends. She added fake fog, tilted the photo, and claimed it was evidence of illegal renovations by ghost-adjacent transients. But the best part, she had the audacity to quote Pete, my fishing buddy since forever, as a source. Longtime resident Pete Sorensen says he fears for the lake's future. Pete doesn't even own a phone. The man thinks Bluetooth is a dental condition. When I showed him the post, he laughed so hard he had to sit down. I've said some stupid stuff in my life, he wheezed, but I've never said that. While Rhonda catfished her neighbors with memes, I installed security cameras discreet enough to make the FBI jealous. And boy, did they catch a parade of petty. Footage showed her creeping around at night, spraying my dock with water so it'd rot faster, leaving stink bait in my mailbox, and tossing lakeweed onto my walkway like some unhinged swamp fairy. One night, she even rearranged my lawn gnomes into what she probably thought was a threatening formation. Joke is on her. I don't own lawn gnomes. Those were Pete's grandkids' school project frogs. The HOA thought I was violating aesthetic standards. Turns out Rhonda was violating federal privacy laws. The neighborhood started catching on around the time Rhonda uploaded a grainy clip of me howling at the moon. Problem is, the moon wasn't even out that night, and the clip was clearly just my dog snoring. Me. The comments section turned fast. "This feels personal." One neighbor wrote, "Wait, didn't she post that same photo last month with a different caption?" Another asked, "Me." Even Rhonda's inner circle started peeling away like wallpaper in a rental. And then came the moment that popped her bubble like a misused pressure cooker. Pete commented from my phone. "This is Pete, me. I don't do internet, but I do know Ely. And you're all being fed hogwash. If your defense strategy involves catfishing your own neighbors, you're not winning, you're spiraling." She thought she was exposing corruption. Turns out the only thing she uncovered was her own IP address. But the best part, Rhonda thought she understood property lines. Wait till you see what Ely really owns. Rhonda called for an emergency HOA meeting like it was a town hall about alien invasion. She passed out flyers titled, "Community in Crisis," printed on bright yellow paper so aggressive it gave people paper cuts just for looking at it. The agenda was simple. Remove the legal dock squatter. Before he turned the lake into a lawless fishing cult. She had charts, photos, and a clip-art gavel to hammer her point. She even brought one of those foam fingers that said, "Fate 1 HOA Defender," and waved it like she was on a reality show about suburban dictatorships. Me. I walked in 10 minutes late wearing a smile and carrying a leather briefcase that Rhonda probably assumed was full of fraudulent bait coupons. The room hushed like they knew something was about to detonate, and oh, me. Did it, me. While Rhonda was halfway through her fourth slide titled, "Signs of Dock, Related Anarchy," I calmly placed the briefcase on the folding table and unfolded a map so large it nearly covered her patriotic cupcake display. "Ladies and gentlemen," I said, tapping the legend, "what you're looking at is the actual property layout of Willow Creek." Rhonda squinted like she was trying to see the future, and it wasn't pretty. Me. The map showed what the county recorder's office had already confirmed. 80% of Willow Creek was owned by various trusts and LLCs, each traced back to me. Every little blue, shaded parcel was part of my family's land portfolio, stitched together over the last 2 decades like a quilt of poetic justice. Me. Rhonda's mouth dropped open like she was trying to swallow a ghost. "This can't be real," she stammered. "This is some kind of deepfake deed scam!" A neighbor down front raised his hand and asked, "Me, does that mean my backyard's technically yours?" "Only if you count the part under your barbecue grill," I said, smiling. Then came the moment I live for. When a self-declared tyrant realizes they've been using someone else's Wi-Fi. Me. I pulled out the lease agreements, ones most of the residents had signed years ago when land values were low and everyone just wanted quiet. "Each of you still owns your home," I explained. Me. "But the dirt it stands on, that's leased. Long-term, fixed rate, no surprises. Unless someone like Rhonda tries to evict the actual landlord." One woman blinked slowly and muttered, "My mortgage company never mentioned this." Another guy near the back asked, "So what happens now?" Before I could answer, Rhonda exploded like a Diet Cola under pressure. Me. "This is not possible. I have the right to be right," she shrieked, waving her clipboard like it could erase county records. "I am the president of Willow Creek." Pete, seated near the door. Me sipped his coffee and deadpanned, "Guess that makes Eli our king." The room burst into laughter, the kind that doesn't just sting, it lingers like glitter on a rug. Rhonda sat down, stunned, me her foam finger now pointing nowhere. The power dynamic had flipped harder than a pancake at a firehouse brunch. The person you mocked at the dock might also be the reason your toilet flushes. Rhonda's world shrank faster than her property value. But when she finds out who controls her utility bill, oh honey, she's about to pay double, emotionally. Rhonda had reached the lurking in shrubbery phase of villainy. Me. Crouching behind rose bushes like she was auditioning for a community theater version of the Born Identity HOA edition. Her hair was frazzled. She smelled like boxed wine in frustration, and she was muttering into a walkie-talkie that wasn't turned on. Me. All because she'd overheard me chatting with Pete about utility upgrades. Basic stuff like fixing the transformers and maybe running fiber lines so folks could stream their paranoia in 4K. But to Rhonda, that was code for, "Eli's gonna cut off our toilets and take our kitchens." She ambushed me the next morning while I was untangling a fishing line, stomping down the path like she was leading a one-woman revolution. "Are you planning a hostile infrastructure takeover?" she blurted, eyes twitching like a caffeine commercial gone wrong. I blinked. Me. "You mean replacing the broken water meters?" Her voice cracked like dried glue. "Don't play dumb! I know you're trying to evict us with plumbing!" I offered her a Gatorade. She slapped it out of my hand like it insulted her ancestors. That's when I knew we were entering danger noodle territory. 3 nights later, the motion sensors near my dock lit up. I opened the camera feed. Me, and there she was, Rhonda Stilton, tiptoeing across the lawn with the grace of a raccoon in Crocs. In one hand, a red gas can, in the other, a lighter, and in her eyes, that wild. I watched 6 hours of legal TikTok, and now I'm an Avenger. Look. She staggered toward my dock like she was about to set fire to the founding documents of lakefront serenity. She knelt down beside my grandfather's bamboo fishing rod, the one thing on this earth I treat better than my own cholesterol, and unscrewed the gas cap. I didn't panic. I called the sheriff. Direct line. Me. Sheriff, it's Eli, your favorite taxpayer. Yeah, I've got a trespasser with a fuel fetish and a grudge. Rhonda didn't get far. The cruiser rolled up faster than HOA rumors at a potluck. They found her mid-rant yelling, "He can't own the water!" while dousing herself in mosquito repellent like it was holy water. The deputies cuffed her gently, more out of pity than force. "Mum," one of them said, "you're under arrest for attempted arson and felony dumbassery." Rhonda howled, "This is all a conspiracy! The dock is a whippin'!" Fear isn't a crime, but trying to set fire to your own landlord's fishing rod definitely is. She screamed, "He can't own the water," as they cuffed her. But guess what? He kinda does. And the courtroom, That's where the final twist hits harder than HOA dues in July. If courtroom drama were a reality show, Rhonda would have been the breakout star. Equal parts denial delusion and dollar store theatrics. She rolled in like she was auditioning for Judge Judy OA edition, armed with a glitter, ink binder, 3-color, coded tabs, and a facial expression that screamed, "Me. I'm innocent but also better than you." Her lawyer looked like he'd lost a bet. Meanwhile, I just brought one folder. Thin, tidy, and devastatingly accurate. The prosecution didn't even have to work that hard. They rolled the security footage like it was a trailer for a bad soap opera. There was Rhonda, tiptoeing with her gas can like a drunk squirrel, narrating her crime in real time. "He thinks he owns everything, but he doesn't own me," she shouted into the night, unaware that my cam had better audio than her HOA meetings. When asked to explain her actions, she yelled, "It was symbolic fire." And the judge did that thing where he takes his glasses off slowly like he's rethinking his entire career. Then came the property evidence, water rights, electrical grid ownership, even the fiber line lease. Apparently, learning your enemy controls the Wi-Fi router you use to slander him online is a special kind of humiliation. Rhonda's jaw locked tighter than a rusty mailbox. "This can't be real," she whispered. Then louder, "This is America. I know my rights!" The courtroom collectively blinked. The bailiff leaned closer like he was prepping for a second round of cuffing. But the real kicker, my lawyer revealed I also owned Pine Basin Utilities, the very service that powered Rhonda's air fryer and scented night lights. The prosecutor rested his case with a mic drop that could have broken glass. "Your Honor, this defendant attempted to incinerate a dock powered by electricity she pays him for." Rhonda stood up and shrieked, "You're all brainwashed!" "I'm a patriot." The judge pounded his gavel like he was tenderizing steak. Sentencing was swift: probation, community service, and a restraining order so tight she couldn't legally scream within 500 feet of my fishing rod. As they escorted her out, she managed one last gasp of melodrama. "You can't silence me. This was a peaceful protest!" And I'll admit it took everything in me not to respond with, "Mom, your gas can disagrees." But mercy has its own brand of sting. So I simply nodded and said, "Good luck with your community service. The Lakeside weeds are aggressive this year. Sometimes the loudest voice in the room just needs to be handed a rake and a reflective vest." She tried to torch my dock, but the only thing that went up in flames was her credibility. You think that was poetic? Wait till you see what she's holding in her orange vest during community cleanup next week. Because Rhonda's got one last surprise, and it comes with a trash bag and a headline. Rhonda strutted into her first day of court, ordered community service like she was debuting in HOA Fashion Week. That orange vest clung to her like karma's hug, loud, reflective, and 2 sizes too honest. She wielded her trash picker like it was a protest sign, stabbing at soda cans like they were personal insults. I sat on my dock, sipping coffee and casting my line. Giving her a neighborly wave each time she passed. Nothing passive about it, just aggressively polite. She never waved back, just narrowed her eyes and clamped her lips so tight, it looked like she was trying to vacuum seal her rage. The residents, meanwhile, were loving it. Peace had returned to Willow Creek. Kids rode bikes again, Couples walked dogs without fear of being cited for leash length. And Rhonda. She picked up gum wrappers with the passion of someone removing evidence of a failed rebellion. Week after week, I watched her go from courtroom caution tape to part-time groundskeeper. It was the most efficient HOA reform I'd ever seen. One woman with a picker stick and a broken worldview. Then something strange happened. One Saturday I noticed she wasn't muttering. No clipboard, no side eye, no flared nostrils. Just Rhonda working, efficient, focused, still annoyed but less nuclear. And the week after that, me. She showed up early, not mandated, volunteered. I couldn't resist. As she neared the dock, I stood and called out, "Rhonda, thank you." Me. "The lake hasn't looked this good since my granddad taught me how to bait a hook." She paused, trash bag over one shoulder like a disgraced Santa Claus. For a second, I thought she'd throw the picker at me. But instead, she gave the smallest, stiffest nod I've ever seen, like her pride had been shrink-wrapped. Then she bent down, picked up a crushed energy drink, and dropped it in the bag, right next to her last shred of denial. The best revenge isn't loud. It's living so well, your enemies end up beautifying your property on Saturdays. This story wasn't just about a feud. It was about restraint over retaliation, facts over fear, and the power of quiet legacy in a world screaming for attention. Ely taught us that you don't need to match someone's chaos to reclaim your peace. You just need to know your worth, and back it with paper older than their panic. If you found value in this story, share it with someone who's dealing with their own clipboard crusader. Whether it's a nosy neighbor, an unfair boss, or a Rhonda in disguise, remind them. Calm courage always outlasts noise. Drop a comment about your own wild HOA or one of a high experience. Don't hold back. And if you want more stories where poetic justice hits like a wrecking ball in orthopedic sandals, subscribe and make sure you don't miss the next episode of Don't Mess with Lakeside Legacy. Got your own HO horror story? Drop it in the comments. Let's laugh at the madness together, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button because tomorrow we have another incredible story.